What up folks, my name's Alex and this is MrAlexTech, and yes, in this video I'm going to show you how to create those awesome spin style transitions within Davinci Resolve 17. Now these aren't no boring run-of-the-mill bog standard transitions, oh no. These transitions will work on any frame rate, any resolution, and there's a bunch of settings which you can change directly within the Edit tab. You want it clockwise or anti-clockwise? Easy, you just tick a box. Maybe you want a 360-degree spin or something greater like a 720-degree spin. Easy, you just change it from directly on the Edit tab. You can even change the animation curves, which drastically change how the animation looks. And they're surprisingly easy to create. So grab a cold one, give me 10 minutes of your time and I'll show you exactly how to do it. Now this is actually the first in a series of new videos I plan to make where I'll show you exactly how to create all of the different transitions I included in my old Seamless Transitions pack, so you can create them for yourself in Davinci Resolve 17. So without further ado, let's open Davinci Resolve and take a look. So here we are within Davinci Resolve and I'm currently on the Edit tab. Now, as you can see, I've got my timeline already set up and I've just put 2 clips on there, which we're going to use to build our transition. So then we're going to hop into the effects library, go to the toolbox, video transitions, and then just grab any of the transitions from the top of the list here. I'm just going to grab additive dissolve, doesn't matter which one, and we're just going to drop that onto the edit point there like so. We're then going to right click and we're going to convert to a fusion cross dissolve. And then we're going to right click again and we're going to open in the fusion page. Now you need to make sure that you've got your nodes down here. If you don't see these nodes, just click on the nodes button up here in the top left hand corner. So we've got media 1, media 2, we've got the cross dissolve in the middle and then media out. If I hit play, all it's going to do is do a real simple cross dissolve between the 2 clips like so. Now we actually want to keep that because we're going to use the cross dissolve within our spin to actually merge the 2 clips together. But we want to make some amendments to it. So on this cross dissolve, right click and then click on ungroup to turn it just into a standard dissolve like so. Let's just spread these out a little bit so we can see what's going on. Give the dissolve a click, open up the inspector in the top right hand corner, and then from here you can change the type of dissolve if you want to. So it's currently set to dissolve, you've got additives, erodes, you've got all these different ones. Feel free to have a play and have a mess if you want to. And then you've got the background/foreground slider. So that just slides from 0 to 1, and that's what basically swaps the background with the foreground, creating your little dissolve. Now it's animating using something called the animation curves, which are new to Davinci Resolve 17. I've made some videos on them in the past. They're linked down in the description below if you want to know more about how they all work. But in this video, we're just going to show you what you need to do to actually create the transitions rather than how they sort of function in the background. So at the top here, you've got modifiers. Give that a click. And this is the animation curves settings. So here you can change the type of animation that is being used to create this dissolve. So what you want to do in this little curve area, it's currently set to linear. So it's not speeding up, it's just dissolving between the 2 clips at a constant speed. Change that to easing, and then you've got these in and out options. So you can change the type of animation that's happening. So again, feel free to play with these, choose whichever ones you want. I'm going to go with Expo for both. Now what Expo is it means it will be really slow at the beginning and then the actual dissolve will happen quite quickly in the middle and then it will slow down at the end. So now we've got this dissolve instead, which will work better for our spin style transition. So that's cool. We're sort of actually halfway there already. So next we need to add a transform. So on your little shortcut menu here in the middle, this one here, just give that a click, put it down on this line so the line turns yellow and blue like so, and then release. And we've added our transform node. Still within the inspector, it's the angle that we want to change. But again, we're going to use the animation curves because it's way easier than trying to keyframe anything. So right click on the word angle, go to modify with, and then select the animation curves. And what that will do automatically, it'll put a 360-degree spin on the transition. So that's starting to look sort of what we want already. First thing you'll notice, we're missing the edges here. So the canvas isn't completing. So what you need to do, where it says edges and canvas, just change that to mirror and that'll fill in the gaps for us. So now it's starting to look a little bit more like it. Now again, the transition at the moment is linear, so there's no acceleration, which is why it looks a little bit rubbish. So click on modifiers at the top here, which is now active because we've put the animation curve on. And again, you've got curve linear, so change that to easing. And then again, you can change the type of animation that we're using. So if you want to have a good one that's kind of fun, click on back and then we'll hit play. And what this one will do is it'll ping one way and then shoot back the other way. which looks kind of cool. But again, feel free to experiment with these, pick whichever ones you want. We're actually going to make all of these available to you within the edit tab, so you don't need to make a decision now, but feel free to have a little play. Let's just make it simple. We'll go to Cine, or Sign even. I can never pronounce that right. And there we go. We've got something that looks like that. Underneath there, you've got scale, and you can see that it's 360. You can also change that. So if I change that from 360 to 720, we now have a 720 degree spin rather than a 360 degree spin. So you can use these settings to change the animation to get the transition looking exactly as you want it. I'm just going to leave that as 720, but again, it doesn't matter. We're going to make that available within the edit tab. Next, go back to Tools, and then we're going to click on Settings, and we want to turn on the motion blur. And that will give us a motion blur here. And then you've got these two options which you want to change. You've got quality, and then you've got shutter angle. So quality is the quality of the motion blur. The higher the quality, obviously the better it will look, but the slightly longer it will take to render. And then the shutter angle is the amount of blur. So it's currently set to 180. If we drop that down, you see I get less blur, and we move that up, I get more blur. So I'm actually just going to leave it as the default for now. And then if we hit play, we've got a transition that looks something like this. Looks pretty cool. Now there's one other thing which we can amend, which can really change the way the transition looks. And again, we're going to make this available within the edit tab, but I just want to show you it here within Fusion first. Still within Tools, on the transform node, we're going to go to Controls, and then we've got this one here called Pivot. Now pivot is the point at which you're rotating around. Now at the moment it's set to the dead center, but if we move the pivot point, let's put it over to the left. And then if we just move this, you can see we're now rotating around this point rather than rotating around the middle, which gives us a very different looking transition. So we want to be able to amend that from the edit tab as well. So then you can choose the point that you're rotating around. So that looks pretty cool. I'm just going to reset that for now. And we're pretty much done. We've made a transition. If I jump back into the edit tab, that will spin and dissolve between the two. And because we used animation curves, we can make this as long or short as we like, and it will work at any resolution and any frame rate, which all in all is pretty cool. But we want to save this for future use, so it's always there ready to go. So I'm just going to right click on this again and go open in Fusion page to get back to this screen. And then all we need to do is highlight dissolve and transform. You don't need to highlight the media out or the media ins. So I'm just going to click my mouse, drag, and highlight those two. We're then going to right click. We're going to go to macro, and we're going to go to create macro. And then this is the create macro screen. So at the very top, the first thing you want to do, give this a name. I'm just going to call this spin transition. You can call it whatever you like, but I'll keep it as spin transition. And then let me just minimize this transform here. You can see we've got all of the things which we've added to this Fusion composition. And we can tick the boxes. And if we tick the boxes, it means they will be available to us as controls within the edit tab. So we're just going to make our way through. First thing first, we want that pivot. So we can change the rotation point. So I'm going to tick pivot. We also want to tick invert transform in here. And what that will do, at the moment it spins clockwise, but if we invert it, it will then spin anti-clockwise. So we want to make that available as well. If you want to change the name from invert transform to something else, you can do. I'm just going to leave it as invert transform for now. We'll minimize transform, and then we'll go to the animation curves, which are for the transform node because they're directly underneath. And we want to be able to change that animation curve from the edit tab. So I'm going to tick in and out and out. I don't know why this one's called in out. I'm actually just going to change that name to be in and out. Makes life a little bit easier. And then I want to be able to change the scale as well. So I can choose between a 360, a 720 degree spin, whatever I want. So I'll tick scale as well. The last thing we need to do is the motion blur. So that's actually back in transform. Minimize controls, and you want to open up common underneath there. Scroll down in this list until you see motion blur. So we can toggle motion blur on and off. I'll tick that one. Quality, I'll tick that one. And then shutter angle, I'll tick that one as well. So I can turn the motion blur on and off, as well as controlling the quality and the shutter angle, all from within the edit tab. Once you've done all of that, click on file at the top here, and then we're going to go to save as. Now we need to save this file in a very specific folder. So hopefully you've been taken to this macros folder here. What we need to do is just go back one step. So I'm going to go to the Fusion folder. We're going to open up the templates folder. We're going to open up edit. And then within here, we've got transitions. Double click that one and then save this spin transition to this transitions folder. So I'm just going to hit save. And then we just need to restart Davinci Resolve. So I'm just going to close everything down and then jump straight back into it. And now we're back in Davinci Resolve. So I've still got all this set up because I had autosave on. I'm just going to delete that one. So we've just got this clean edit point. And then we're going to open up the effects library. We're going to go to Toolbox and Video Transitions. We're then going to scroll down until you get to the Fusion Transitions area. And then you need to find your transition within there. And there it is, Spin Transition. So I'm just going to drag that and put it on this edit point. And then we'll just lengthen that out so it's a little bit longer. And then if we hit play, see if it works. Perfect. We have our spin transition. If you give it a click, open up the inspector, make sure you're on the transition, and then you should see effect, spin transition, and then you've got the controls. So we've got the pivot, we've got the invert, we've got the motion blur, quality, shutter angle, and then we've got our animation curve settings as well. And finally, we've got our scale. So first up, let's just invert that, and then straight away, you can see we're rotating in a different direction. So that's cool, nice easy way to do that. Next, let's change the pivot. So I'm just going to put my playhead right in the middle, so it's nice and obvious where the pivot point is. And then let's just say we move the x-axis over. You can see we can move the point that we're rotating around, so we can just move the x and y to get it wherever we want it to be. So that's cool. Then we've got the quality. I'm going to leave it as 10. We've got the shutter angle. So let's just bring this down. That's a little bit too blurry for me. So we want something around there. That looks perfect. And then we can change the animation. So let's go with Expo, which you know is nice and quick in the middle. And we'll hit play on that one instead. And there we go. So now we've got a very different looking transition. Now again, we've got the scale. So if we change this to, let's go crazy and do 1080. And then hit play, it spins way more. So we can adjust the scale, the animation, the quality of the motion blur, and the pivot point, as well as the direction in one simple transition. And that's it. How cool are they? Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, I am going to create new videos for all of the different transitions I included within the Seamless Transitions pack. So if you're new here, you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Give me any comments or feedback down below, and if you want to see the rest of the transitions, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, folks. You take it easy. I'll catch you next time. See ya.